Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Face to Face. Yours truly, Esther Hongeee. And today we have a special guest in the studio. She goes by the name of Esther.
Yes, I do. Esther Hongeee. Stage name Est.
Okay. How are you doing?
Good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. So what's new? What have you been up to lately?
So I've had my hands in a bunch of little baskets, and I'm trying to navigate through this new city. I'm originally from upstate New York, but I moved from Boston in March of 2020.
Okay.
And I've moved a total of 4 times in 2020, and I finally managed to find myself in Brooklyn, which is where I wanted to end up. But the transition has not been easy, but I'm here. I'm blessed to be here.
Right.
And I mean, when I say I've had my hands in a bunch of little baskets, I do a lot of different things. Like I sing, act, dance. I also am CMO for an activewear brand that presented an opportunity to me when I was modeling for them.
Right.
So then I kind of finessed that connection with the CEO, and I was like, I want to pick your brain about your marketing. Who's in charge of that? He was like, we don't have a marketing person. And I'm like, what? Okay. So then I pitched him like a brand strategy. He fell in love with it, and ever since I've just been working with them. Right. So there's that, and then I'm a dog mom, so I have my hands full with that. And managing the acting freelance stuff. Like I have an agency. I'm signed to a talent agency that kind of presents gigs and stuff, but for the most part I find my own stuff, and it's difficult when you don't necessarily I don't have the connections right now. And that was my main objective in 2020, was to find the connections and just get my in, because I know I'm a personable human, and I love human interaction. I'm an extrovert, and that was my main objective. All right, I want to talk to as many people as I can, get their contact information, see what they do the best, and see how I can incorporate them into what I'm building for myself. And then COVID happened. And
I was going to ask you, you were doing all of that during COVID? Moving around and...
Yeah, I was still moving with COVID, and I was, still doing the gigs, the modeling gigs. I've been in 3 music videos this past year, 2 hip-hop, 3 hip-hop artists, and then I've been in multiple different shoots with different brands. It ranges from fashion e-commerce brands to social media ads, different apparel brands, and then just a bunch of different things. But I've gotten tested so many times I can't even count, because they all require that I get the test before showing up on set. So
how long you been acting and modeling for? You said you've been doing acting and modeling. How long have you been doing it for?
So my main objective was to act. I've always loved, everyone always called me dramatic growing up. I'm so dramatic, and growing up I have a musical background. So in high school I did musicals and stuff, and I was part of choir and everything. So honestly, I can say it stemmed from my childhood, but I didn't take it seriously until I graduated from college. And then I quit my full-time job in March. So full-time, less than a year, but part-time on the side. It was known as my side hustle while I was working at a marketing agency right out of school. And so I'd say a little more than 2 years for modeling, and then acting has been a little less consistent because there's just been a lot more modeling opportunities, and production wise, like I've been in like 3 TV shows, but none of them have aired yet.
Right.
So I'm like waiting I'm like waiting, when is it coming out? And actually one was with Quibi, and I don't know if you know like that streaming platform, Quibi, and then they went bankrupt.
That's the went bankrupt. That's the one that came out hot and they went bankrupt.
Mm-hmm. So there's that. that. And like I was on the show and then they went bankrupt, so like I followed up with them to see like what was going on, but like also kind of felt bad being like, okay, well, like, am I getting paid? Like, you know, like what's happening here? Because clearly like probably nothing, like everyone lost their jobs. So
what is your background, Kai? You're
like ethnicity wise, I'm Korean.
Okay.
Yeah,
and I'm sure with your look, you get a lot of different gigs with that.
Yes.
So a lot of different roles
like,
and opportunities.
I mean, ever since Crazy Rich Asians came out, I feel like that huge production where there were like Korean Americans portrayed in the way that like is so relatable for like immigrant children and parents, like people can so relate to that first generation American lifestyle where like it's hard to connect to like your roots, but then also like your American upbringing. And like when I watched that movie, I was like, damn, why is that so relatable? Like and I'm sure so many other cultures could relate to it, even if they weren't Asian. And like when you know everyone from around the world saw Asians portrayed in that way, they were like, wow, we can use Asians for non-stereotypical roles. And I think it really broke through the industry where it was like, I mean, Fresh Off the Boat even came out. That was Constance Yu, the main character in Crazy Rich Asians, also is one of the main characters in Fresh Off the Boat. But it was also like, you know, this kid growing up to listen to Tupac and like all the OG like hip hop artists, and they're like, wow, like that's a thing for Asian Americans. Yes, like we are people of American background, like we are gonna act just like other Americans because that's all we know, but we just happen to look of a different race. So like that's all I've known. I've always just been American, but people always, you know, there's always that immediate like you see someone for the first time and they're like, oh, you're Asian or you're Hispanic or you're white, black, you know, and then they're like, oh, you must be this way. But once you get to know them, they're like, oh wait, you're actually like cool like or hip. But
so what are some of your goals for being a model or actor? Or right now you're just taking it whatever you can get, 'cause you know some people want to be on the big screen and big movies,
right?
So what are your goals?
No, that's a great question. So when I took the big leap of like quitting my full-time job in March and moving back to New York, I was like, what do I want to do? And then for like a couple months while I was in quarantine, I dabbled in like TikTok and that YouTuber lifestyle and like the influencer lifestyle. And I was just like, this is so heavily like edit heavy. Like I don't focus on edits. Like I'm not a behind the screen computer editor, you know, like and I feel like as an influencer, that's what it is. You're primarily shooting, you're primarily editing, you're spending so much time perfecting that end, and then when you bring it to the actual like audience itself, they don't understand like the back end, right? They only see it for what it is. But I just like to be on the front end of things. Like I don't like managing like that editing stuff, so I kind of took a switch. Like in July, I had, you know, done a TV show, and then another TV show opportunity came about, and I find that during the summers the gigs come more often, and I know that if it weren't for COVID, I'd have more opportunities to do the movies and stuff.
Because I saw what you were doing during COVID, you were moving. So imagine if COVID didn't happen, you would have been.
Oh my God, I wish, but I know that like I'm still making the most of this opportunity of being in New York City and being surrounded by creatives. Like I'm still making those and cultivating those connections. So I guess like to not to like digress, but like to attack your main question, my main goal honestly is to also pave the way for Asian Americans like myself in big prime like TV shows or movies. So TV and film is like my main objective, and I want to come out as an actress. But I also do music, and I sing and write my own stuff.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so eventually I want to also, present my music side to the world, but once I establish myself as an actress, and I feel like it's easier to get my in that way.
Yeah.
And probably like I get paid more, because I feel
Right.
like artists, like, they put in so much work, but they're still like struggling. But on the modeling and acting side, there's just like more returns sooner
Right.
than later. And then but I've worked with a couple of like artists here. I've worked with Tavares TV. He's like a really amazing R&B artist, like, in New York City, and he has a bunch of like really amazing tracks. I can share some with you, but
Yeah.
he's kind of taught me like how to write music so that it's more melodic and follows like a specific pattern where like people would be more addicted to the sound of it. So
Like the melody and everything.
exactly,
like that. Right.
and like to current trends of music, like finding a hook and repeating it and making sure that it sticks with the person listening, and like something that's catchy. And
Yeah, that's the most important
he's
thing, yeah.
really good at like finding what works and what doesn't in the song. So I've like adjusted some songs, but I haven't. So like, I say that, but I have very few that I've let out into the world, because I have so much that I just don't want people to know about yet, because
Yeah.
I just want to come out as an actress first.
Yeah.
And I want that to be the focus before I come out with my music.
Yeah, that's good. You focus on one thing, because you don't want to spread yourself too
Right.
thin trying to do too much at one time. So once you
Right.
get your foot in the door there, then you let people see the other side.
I mean, like, Rihanna got in with her music, and
Yeah.
now she's doing so many other things. Like,
yeah.
that's a lot of people. Like, Selena Gomez came out as an
Yeah.
actress, and then she got to do her music and all of that. And same with like Demi Lovato. And like, you get known for one thing,
Yeah.
and then you blow up.
Blow up, yeah.
As long as that's your big break. Like, you get one big break and you're set. Like,
Yeah. And then once you blow up with the modeling thing, or acting and modeling,
Mm-hmm.
then you could, like you said, introduce your music to the world, and people will listen to it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I looked at your Instagram. Your Instagram is pretty cool.
Thank you.
You have some good photos there. Who's your photographer? You have a personal photographer?
So
So
no.
here's your chance to shout him or her out right now. Give them some.
Okay. Well, I have a bunch of photographers that I post on my feed,
Right.
that I've worked with, but like, the relationships that I have with some photographers, like, I'll make sure to post them more often, just because, like, those are my people. But for the most part, what you see on my Instagram is taken on my iPhone.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
and I
wow.
just edit it, and I also know how to edit. Like, during the quarantine, I taught myself how to work Photoshop and all of those other apps. And then I have a website. It's withs.com.
Yeah.
So est.com, with est.com, and on there you'll find like my portfolio of like professional work that I've done with photographers and stuff like that. But everything on Instagram is primarily like shot by myself, or like or a friend. Like, I'll just put it up on a little console thingy, and then just set it on a timer.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Shout out to Apple.
Yeah, thanks. That A1 qual.
Yeah. What is your biggest event that you've done so far? Would you say is your biggest event, either modeling or acting?
Okay. Biggest, like, in regards to like eyes and reputation.
Yes, that you can say that.
I would say
Or the event that you had the most fun, that you like, wow, this was like
yeah,
awesome.
okay. So like, it was this TV show that I did with Quibi.
Okay.
That went bankrupt. So like, yeah, it's crazy because like, I did a TV show with Quibi, and I was expecting it to come out, and it's basically a game show. It's called Eye Candy, and the objective of it was something would come out of a conveyor belt, and it's you'd have to decipher whether it was edible or not. So it could be like a water bottle, and the water bottle could have been made of like a edible glass, like an edible candy type situation. I don't know how they would do it, but they would make shit look so realistic. It's actually crazy. Like, they made a gnome that had like grass and a cone head and stuff, and it was made of like chocolate.
Wow. And
like edible grass, and it looked crazy real, but you'd have to distinguish, okay, is this item edible or is it not? And I actually did it with my sister, because when we were being casted, they asked if there was anyone I would want to like compete against, and I was like, oh, my sister, because we've always competed like ever since we were young. And she and I were competing with SNL guest stars. Josh Groban was the host, and I won $1,000 at the end. Spoiler, and since it's not gonna come out, but it was like a game show, so like I won money at the end of it, and money never came. And then I got the news that Kobe went bankrupt, so I'm like, okay, well, there goes that.
Yeah, because
I had so much screen time, like the camera was on my face, like literally at the whole episode. Yeah. And I could really feel like my personality shining through. Yeah. And it's just like, wow, that's crazy.
But it gave you experience, and and everything for the future.
But I think this opportunity that I got with Richard Trochet, he's the director of this series called The Bronx Rivers. He's going to actually pitch it to Netflix and HBO, and I think this script will really do so well with the Netflix and that audience, that I'm hoping that this will be my big break. They'll see me appear in a couple episodes and be like, wait, what? An Asian from the Bronx? Like, because they're a different breed. Asian people from the Bronx, they just have a different personality, different demeanor, the way that I'm not from the Bronx, but I'm going to portray it as best as I can. Yeah.
And I looked at your YouTube channel. YouTube channel has some good videos on it too. I think you were doing something where you were showing something about how different outfits and dresses look, or something like that.
Yeah, I did like a
fashion thing.
A fashion haul.
And I saw your dog in the back.
Yeah. She's so cute. Yeah. It was a fashion haul, and I think like with a bunch of YouTubers, that's what they focus on a lot, is fashion hauls, because you'll just buy a bunch of clothes from a specific brand that seems to be trending, and then people will wonder like, oh, how are the clothes from this website, because you don't get the in-person experience of touching the fabric, seeing like the quality of it, and the like comparing prices online is like the biggest thing right now. Reviews are huge, because especially on like different body types, and I feel like
you mentioned that different body types,
different body types, skin colors, everything. So I think it was like a Shein, Zara haul, and then I've also done Pretty Little Things and like Misguided. Those are like trending like female woman apparel e-commerce websites right now. So I think that's why I focused on that. So SEO driven, search engine optimization, like people are typing that constantly, saying like, oh, what size am I? Well, I'm this size, this is what I thought about this dress, so I thought it would do well. And I mean, I think it's one of my bigger viewed videos.
Because I see a lot of females also doing it. The people who do the makeup on YouTube now, that's been a big hit too. Yeah,
I do makeup too, but like the people that do makeup, like I think they're just they do like the whole glammed up look, and on the regular, like I don't wear that much makeup anyways, and I find that for me it was never about like doing like a different look to look like a different person, but more so like enhancing your looks. And for me, I always just like enhance my features with the makeup, and I've done a couple of tutorials on there, but it was never like change yourself, morph yourself into like this or that, and I think like those dramatic looks are what does the best on YouTube. and like the OG YouTubers are who's trending now. I feel like if you weren't in the game like 5 years ago, then like it's gonna be very hard for you to break through. But as long as you're consistent and like you're constantly posting and you know what you're doing on the back end, I feel like you'll be fine. It just really takes a certain individual to spend that many hours editing and like constantly coming out with content. It's a lot of work. But like I said, I like to be the front end, so not that I'm lazy or anything, it's just like not my forte, like working the software, clipping footage and like adding background songs, you know.
You don't like to be the background person, you like to be the person in the
exactly
front.
Like tell me what
center of attention,
right, tell me what to do, but like
how about food? I see you do something with some kind of food stuff. It's like it was a like, I don't know if it's a video or a picture, something about food. Do you do it?
I did a mukbang before. Do you know what a mukbang is?
No.
It's a Korean term that basically just means like eating while talking. It's like muk. I feel so stupid right now because I like can't think of it, but it's like a combination of two Korean words that kind of stands for eating, like while like literally just talking about anything. And I did one with my hometown friend Joelle, and honestly it did well, but then I had to take it down because he had like, we were talking about certain topics that were just a little too vulgar, and we were like going through job interviews, and we just didn't want it to bite us in the ass. So
because they start to researchers on you and see that. So
I was like, damn, that's like a good video of us. But honestly,
I think that's the one I saw, you and Joelle, right? Yeah.
But honestly, like I think we'll have so many other opportunities because my friend Joelle and Jason are actually they're going to move to Brooklyn, but they're in Staten Island right now. So, but I'm closer to them. Yeah. It was like, oh, Esther, come to New York when I was in Boston. Yeah. And I'm like, honestly, I really want to. And I finally let it happen. So I'm just glad to be here, honestly.
Nice. Yeah. So before we wrap it up, what are some of your accomplishments that you're proud of so far?
Let's see.
Besides the Quibi.
Yeah. Well, no, because like that didn't even follow through. Honestly, I'm really just happy to be in New York. I think that was like a big step for me because I always kept talking about being in New York for like 2 years, literally, and then like never really making the effort to do anything about it until like right before the quarantine. And it's not that COVID happened that I quit. I literally made the conscious decision to quit my job because I was unhappy. And then the quarantine happened, you know, like it was so unexpected. So I think like coming to New York was like a huge accomplishment for me. And then like for me, it's like making all these connections to people in New York that have manifested all the opportunities that I have now. So like because I was connected to a previous model that I worked with at a prior gig, I landed this LV modeling opportunity where I shot with them in the first shoot, and then I talked to the CEO, and then he didn't have a marketing person, so now I'm the CMO of the company. You know, like making those connections is what cultivated like the situation I'm in now. I'm still connected to Frank Rivers. He's another photographer. He's known in New York City as well. And he's actually connected to like a magazine, published magazine, and he pitched to, you know, the guys in charge of the magazine, told them my story and like my journey and path of where I want to be, and they were interested in having me on the cover of their magazine. So it hasn't happened yet because just like with COVID, you know, taking a spike again, but then we were like brainstorming ideas on like what designer to use and all of that. So that opportunity is gonna come up, and like there's just so many future opportunities, but like also just being in these gigs and like manifesting these relationships and like and making sure to like stay connected with these people is what brought me to this opportunity, brought me to so many other, you know, things that are coming up that I don't necessarily want to spill, because I feel like
not yet.
Yeah, I want to show everyone that it happened, more so talk about it's about to happen, you know. Always with the products more than the potential. Yeah.
Well, yeah, so like I say, it's always who you know.
Yeah.
It's who you know in this business.
It is.
It goes a long way.
It really is.
So before we wrap it up, let people know how they can get in contact with you, or your social media, all that stuff, all that good stuff.
Plug. Okay, so my website is withest.com.
Right.
And my Instagram is at Esther, EstherHongeee. And the EEE stands for Everything Entertaining with Esther. So because I do a lot, I'm considered like, everything entertaining. So you can find me on YouTube, Snapchat and Instagram, same handle. Like that is pretty much my handle across platform. But yeah, that's how you can find me, and like book me via any social media platform, or just reach out to me via email or something.
And you respond back in a timely fashion, right?
Yes, absolutely. You have to.
Yeah. All right, Esther, it was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Wishing you all the best moving forward.
Thank you.
This wraps up another episode of Face to Face. Yours truly, Nesta Can. Take care and God bless.